Government jobs are competency based. They are not political party based. Let's be clear. This is discrimination.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
This has happened and all that. And we've accepted. Can you see even my t-shirt? I'm rocking yellow, Baba.
Nick, you know, Jeff, I was telling somebody, at some point we must put this madness to where it belongs. Because when we are talking about illegitimacy of a president, who we all know satisfied the political, the legal, and the constitutional metric of becoming a valid elected president, it makes no sense for any person calling themselves or wanting to be respected as a politician to point fingers and say this man was not validly elected or he is an illegitimate president. You remember, Jeff, I told you, we saw more than 20 leaders who came to Kasarani to celebrate and enjoy this new leadership. That is one. Secondly, the very person who is joining Honorable Raila on these mandamanos and on these trails that Raila is doing is the very person who passed on the sword and the leadership instruments to the same guy you were saying is illegitimate in office. It does not make sense. And that's why I'm saying, Nick, at some point we must put this madness into perspective because it is not making sense to anybody. And I think the way I'm saying, Nick, people are starting to get tired. And you've realized sooner, and I was telling somebody, Azimio will go the same way Jubilee went. People have started bolting. And it will just die a very slow death because you can't sustain these mandamanos. Yes, somebody is fueling them as far as finances are concerned. But you cannot do this. For how many more months will you be able to sustain? So what will happen is you will get to see, sooner or later, Raila will be left with a very small team. Probably people who never got any political position. The likes of Urengo are really going to run their counties. The likes of Akina Nyang'nyong, they are going to retreat back to their offices. And so Azimio will die a very, very painful death. Just like what happened to Jubilee, it will be parted out like a car stolen by thieves, Kule River Road. You watch. It happened, it happened to CORD. You know, it has happened before. And so it will happen again. I assure you, give it this year. By the time we are turning next year, nobody will be talking about Azimio.
These so-called rebel MPs, these guys who are, going to State House over and over again. You saw the headline in the Daily Nation there. You see that?
Yes.
They're going to form their own, anti-Raila movement.
And Jeff, I told you, in politics, the young lions, the likes of Akina Jalango, what have you, these are visionary leaders. They may not take the route that was taken by the yester leaders. And this is primarily to say, at some point, I promised my people development, which is very true. I mean, you're looking at somebody who's running a very cosmopolitan constituency. They will come and say, I promised them water, I promised them this and this, I promised them good schools. And guess what? For you to talk anything education, you must meet with somebody like the CS Education or the PS, at some point. These are government officers who are actually aligned to the current administration. What are you going to do? When the president summons you, he is your president, unless you're telling Kenyans that only governors can go and see the president. But you people, you should follow a certain path. Again, which is not truthful. In fact, it beats the reasoning and logic of a democracy. You must sit with your president. You must tell them the vision that you have, the goal that you have for your constituency. Remember, when you talk about a cosmopolitan constituency, you have people who supported Raila Odinga and you have people who supported the current president. So it is a little bit asinine to say that, these people, they are elected by the constitution, they cannot go see, the president. It does not make sense.
I mean, these rallies, after a while, people will say, come on, man, life goes on, accept and move on.
Well, Kenya is a funny country. Our current president campaigned from 2018 to 2022. He created a successful political formula. He succeeded in being a president by having political rallies throughout. Number two is that this country and much of the world is facing the conditions that are prime for rallies. What is that? High food prices, high energy prices. Those are the kind of things that people actually demonstrate about. If you remember the Arab Spring, what caused it? Wasn't it the price of wheat? Just wheat? So in terms of it being able to be sustainable and it being able to rouse the masses, yes, it can. What do I think that they need to remove from their script? It is this cry baby thing about last year's elections. I think that is dead and gone. But in terms of the social justice, people asking, what am I going to eat? How am I going to afford electricity? What is the price of fuel at the pump? Those issues can keep them going for quite a while. So the truth is, one, we have a formula that the president himself used for 4.5 years successfully, and two, we have conditions that are ripe for such a time as this. So you can't ignore those issues at all. And also number three, the difference between them was 200,000 votes. So there is just about 200,000 people different who voted who think that Raila should be president. So there is enough support for the rallies. I would not ignore them. You ignore them at your own peril.
But you've said they should kill that crybaby. Have you suggested this to the top leadership?
I don't know how I can suggest it to them, but if they're listening to me, stop the crybaby. No, because you see, it's spilled milk. It's spilt milk. Constitutionally speaking, legally speaking, practically speaking, even if they proved that Ruto himself penciled in 200,000 extra votes or 2 million extra votes, that ship has sailed. It's gone. But you know what Kenyans care about every day is when you go to the supermarket and what 10,000 bob used to get you, it can't get you anymore. What 1,000 bob used to get you, it can't get you anymore. Now that Kenyans care about. And if I was Azimio, that's what I would focus on. And if I was the president, that's what I would focus on. I would not be saying that the government is a company only shareholders should partake from.
I was going to get to that, by the way. Deputy President Rigathi yesterday said, if government jobs, tenders will go to only people who voted for us.
And I would expect, that's expected, honestly, so to speak. But before
you have to say it openly. Do you have to say it so?
Rigathi is Rigathi. He doesn't hide. He's as truthful as they come. And guess what?
That's what they said about Trump.
Yeah. He needs to. Let me tell you. Yeah. You cannot say that now you want to enjoy the trappings of government when you didn't support them, when your work was to bash them day and night. Now you want to come on the front line. That's what he was saying. I'll come and pick you out. I'm not saying you won't enjoy it. I'll just take you the back of the line. That's what Rigathi was saying. Having said that, I think there's something Mark has alluded to when he said, people can go the maandamano of food prices and all those. As far as we agree, as much as I agree with that, the cost of living going high, Jeff, you must ask when those things started happening. You just didn't wake up to find the food prices being how they are. We are mindful of the fact that this is the 5th year we are going where our short rains. So that just tells you this is an environment that was not created yesterday. But what people can point to is mismanagement of some of these areas. Right? There was a very great agenda, which I evangelized back to back, which was the Big Four agenda. That was a true genius of how you re-engineer a republic. It was actually pushed under a fluffy rag and people chose something else. Now, when you find yourself being in a position where things have started to go haywire, and the current leadership is aware of these things. They are talking about them. You had the president himself in Ethiopia. He was very concerned about the drought. Listen, it is not just affecting the people who voted a certain way. It is affecting every Kenyan. That's one thing. The other thing is now we are even losing our wildlife. So this is something that is as serious to every Kenyan, not to just the top leadership. But how do you stop something that was going south anyway? Jeff, I tell people sometimes it is good to stop and just bring in new focus. Don't move, because applying momentum in the wrong direction sometimes is far much worse than temporary stagnation. Because temporary stagnation gives you an idea of, okay, wait a minute, we've been going south. How do we turn this ship? Because we are losing it. And that stagnation gives you a bird's eye view of what to change and what to emphasize on. The issue that these people may run away from is he pushed about broadening the tax base, and that's why you have people crying out left, maneno ya ushuru, maneno ya ushuru. No. It was a given. Everybody must pay tax, whether you like it or not. So those are some of the things that when you put them straight, it may pain a while. Things like the Galana Kulalu, the new initiative happening in Galana Kulalu. These are great.
What new initiative?
Ideas.
I thought that thing was...
Galana Kulalu was parted. People had 7,000, 4,000. They had parted it out.
Jeff,
he knows.
The explanation that someone saying something ridiculous is them being truthful is nonsensical. Let's not lie to Kenyans. Let me tell you, elections are not things where you hive off government and you take it to your political party or to your backyard. That is not what democracy is about. It is like saying that if now people who voted for Wajakoya, now they should form an island, all 200,000 of them, where they can eat harvest hyena gonads and do things. That's ridiculous. You understand?
Yeah.
We are Kenyans. We have the right. It is a right to express yourself politically. You should not be discriminated against. Government jobs are competency based. They are not political party based. Let's be clear. If you want to be political party based, then go run for MP, go run for governor. Those are political party based. But if you want to head up a parastatal, you just need to be qualified and be a Kenyan. This is discrimination, and let's not call it by any other name. Number two, when politicians say stupid things, we need to learn to take them at their word. Please, as a country. You know, someone said that politicians and diapers are similar, and they need to be changed often for the same reason.
They are full of...
You understand? So, when a politician speaks nonsensical things, just like when the devil lies, he speaks his native tongue. When a politician says nonsensical things, he means it. That's honestly what his heart is full of. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Number three, there is a very obvious narrative being pushed that let us blame everything that is happening now on Uhuru Kenyatta. Let me ask a question. How many months did Kibaki, after Moi, complain about Moi? The answer is zero. Moi had 24 years, negative 2% growth, negative 1% growth, super inflation, Goldenberg scandal. Moi left this country in the biggest hole we've ever been in. You want to blame Uhuru Kenyatta? Fine, you can, but Uhuru Kenyatta never saw below 5% development. Uhuru Kenyatta steered this country through COVID, steered this country through the Ukraine, first part of the Ukraine-Russian crisis. So you can decide to blame him or move on. Leave the ex-boyfriend alone.
Did you hear the euphemism? Did you hear that? And that's why I like, you see, spinners. Spinners will always be spinners. Yeah? What are these mandamanos supposed to achieve? One thing and one thing only: to distract government. That's it. And this is the difference between, I told you, spinning is a very hard job. He's telling us Kibaki never spoke about Moi. Moi never did mandamanos. Guess what? Moi retired in peace, went to Kabarak.
Wait, we were talking about mandamanos.
No.
The state of the economy.
Listen. Did you hear the spin? Oh, he never spoke. Yeah, Kibaki never. So because Moi did not give him a rough time, he moved on. So this is the beauty about spin. This is the beauty about spin. Raila here, Nairobi, biashara itaendelea. Guess what? Sooner or later, when you take a deep dive to all this nonsense that they are saying, Gachagua said, he put it in black and white. First of all, there's nothing you can do about the things that are constitutionally mandated. All counties receive money, same way. Doesn't matter who you supported. Mark knows very well that they'll get their money. They'll get their fair share. CDF, it's all of a fair share. But if you're talking about PSS, CSS, those ones, they won't get that done. Yeah?
Yeah.
Those ones you give to the people who supported you, and people who are actually supporting your ideas, people who are supporting your vision of what you want to change. And here you're not blaming anybody. If somebody screwed up, they screwed up. All right? Here we are still talking about taxes. And just the other day, we just realized people were not paying taxes. So when you're asked to pay taxes, what's the big thing about it? If me and Mama Mboga are there and somebody who sells Bichachi and Tropical, they are paying their taxes, whether it's sales or anything else, but they are paying their taxes. What is so wrong with you just paying taxes? And I told you last time I was here, the guys who have the means are the people who evade taxes. And they have the ability and the know-how to do it. When will you ever see Mama Mboga opening an account at in the Bahamas? You'll ever see them running to Geneva.
Never.
All right? So the only thing I feel when somebody is asked, it's not blaming or pointing fingers at them, is just telling them to pay their fair share.